people is useless.
Senior citizens are not productive people.
Retirement homes are boring places.
The elderly is isolated in our society.
These are wrong conceptions we've got nowadays of our elderly.
My mom asked me to go with her to the old people's home, where my grandma is a resident, so we could spend more time with her. I accepted, and as soon as I arrived, I could feel and observe the loneliness atmosphere. Some seniors were lacking company.
Have you ever been to an old people's home? I bet most of you haven't.
And let me tell you that it's one of the most curious places I've ever been to. I found my grandma talking with some friends about the experiences of the childhood and anecdotes from the teenage years.
Yeah, exactly the same as every grandparent does.
I decided to sit with them and listen carefully. There, I tried to compare the society they were talking about and art nowadays, and when I realized how quickly things have changed, I considered that afternoon to be one of the more interesting I've ever spent, and that gave me food for thought.
What about doing more visits? Maybe I could talk about it with my friends.
And they would be also interested in it.
It was then when we had the idea of organizing some visits to retirement homes. It's a really simple project, and our main idea is to record the communication between the youth and the elderly.
It's a fact that there exists a huge distance between those two generations, and with this project, we are working to bring them together.
To within a few meters.
At this moment, just take the elderly as a forgotten generation.
They feel that out of date just because of all the events that have taken place in the last few years.
But not all the problems are due to this generation. Our generation, also known as the one who was born with a mobile phone in their hands,
We spend thousands of hours with electronic devices, and we think that all those lost hours could be spent in a better way.
so many problems,
And any solutions?
we thought these meetings would be beneficial for both parties.
On the one hand, we could organize talks by the elderly to schools in subjects such as history. Here, they could give their own personal experiences to try and explain better whatever it is that we are studying.
This would allow us to understand much better whatever that they're talking us about.
Another idea is organizing group visits to retirement homes. This could be a better way of spending our leisure time and would enable us to enrich our lives.
Students from schools could interact with the elderly, increasing their knowledge and absorbing different point of views that they wouldn't have learned in any other way.
This also generates a great satisfaction to the elderly. And how do I know it? Well, a few years ago, I did an activity quite similar to the one we're proposing today. We went to a retirement home, and our activity was taking some proverbs that the people who was there were telling us. As they have lived much longer than we had, they had an advantage. They told us a lot of proverbs, and when we asked them, they couldn't avoid talking us about personal experiences, and we listened to them really excited. A few days after, my teachers went to talk to the nurses to go and see how our visit had influenced the people there. And they told them that now they were much more active and were willing to hear from us as many times as possible.
Furthermore, this proposal will help to recover some values that have disappeared from a generation to another generation due to the huge separation between them.
For example, nowadays, not only do young people lack respect for the elderly, but also for themselves. Another thing we really need to learn from them is to value everything we have nowadays.
And let me remind you to be constant with your objective and never give up.
In conclusion, we would like you to take our proposal into consideration because we think it's a really good way of improving our society and live life much more happier.
All we need to do is make an effort to achieve incredible things. Why not kill two birds with one stone and try to connect these two generations?
Change our society to the better. Thank you for your attention.